I may have mistitled the episode. May have mistitled it. Guess I could have changed it. It's too late now, though. What? Anyway, we're going with episode 476, Conference Armageddon. Conference Armageddon.
Did you put a version number on that? I'm sure we've used that.
May have. I don't know.
Starring Bruce Willis.
But here's why it's the wrong name. It shouldn't be Armageddon. Armageddon obviously is biblical. Talk about it in Revelation, but basically the definition of it is the last and completely destructive battle.
Oh yeah, that's not that. That's not that. We're not done.
This is. What's up, bellboy? What you got over there? This is Three Guys Before the Game. Thank you so very much for being with us. We're going to jump into maybe not the Conference Armageddon, but obviously one massive volcanic eruption. That's what it is. We're going to get into all of that. We're going to talk some Mountaineer football. We're going to get into textual healing as well. Three Guys Before the Game is brought to us by the Burdett Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. You can visit them, burdettcamping.com. You know, we've been talking throughout the summer about that $10,000 off deal they got.
Sure.
On that unbelievable Forest River travel trailer and toy hauler, $10,000 off. Fantastic. Guess what now? What? Guess what now? How about this deal? All of their 2022 models, all of their 2022 fifth wheels, $3,000 under the invoice.
What? How much?
Like, you go look at the sticker on all their fifth wheels, 2022 models. The sticker says this. They're going to go under $3,000 under that.
That's a good deal.
Just take it from them.
I'd say that's a deal. Burdett Camping at burdettcamping.com. That's burdettcamping.com. Three Guys also brought to us by the fine folks at Comax. There's so much more. They've evolved in the last 25 years. They started off, they were doing equipment and things like that. Now they manage your IT, your business data, your IT security, even your phone system. They become your partner. So if you're a business owner, you want to stay safe, they got it. They can manage it remotely. They can do it. They can come in, give you a free price quote on what it will take to make sure that your stuff is good. And every single day, people are attacking businesses, so you got to keep that in mind as well. Visit them at comaxwv.com, comaxwv.com, and their phone systems for businesses from one phone line to 1,000. They have what it needs and what you need. Yesterday was a nice day, kind of, sort of, in Morgantown. The senator was out on his pontoon, and a reminder that we just happened to be sponsored by the single largest pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. They are the experts. Lou Wendell Marine Sales. Family owned for over 4 decades. They get pontoons. Like Hoppy gets news, they get pontoons. Lou Wendell recognized as the state's premier dealer. They feature the Avalon pontoon boats. Visit them at LouWendellMarineSales.com. LouWendellMarineSales.com. And how about our folks at Gomart? They have given us an honor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they bestowed upon us an honor. You know, like in the those days of medieval things where they put the sword on your shoulder.
Knighthood?
They knight you. Yeah, Gomart knighted us.
They did?
Yeah.
Why?
Because they're giving us the designation to get involved with the Mountaineer Man Trip. That's the contest that they have where each game they pick a couple of winners, and those winners get to walk with the team from the hospital side there into the stadium. Mountaineer Man Trip. It's a nod to the state's proud coal industry, and it starts 2 hours, 20 minutes before kickoff. Gomart offering our fans and theirs a chance to be a true part of this experience, along with getting tickets to the game and an opportunity to be on the field.
Nice.
Sideline, you don't get to go on the field and play. Just clarification purposes. All you have to do to enter is go to the Gomart app or go to their website at gomart.com.
And you can
sign up.
You can be on the sideline during the game?
I didn't say that.
Oh.
Normally pregame. Brad, you've been in the business for a while, haven't you?
Yes.
Isn't the you bring them out onto the you let them see warm-ups, and then there's
And then you try and move off. And you try and move off once the introductions are done. Maybe I would always try and go a series or so.
Oh, you give them a series.
I'd give them a push it for a series and then try and exit out of there.
Yeah.
It can be dangerous on the sidelines.
Well, sure. Hell yeah.
As some on this set know.
Yeah.
I was over at practice were you with me last week when we were facing and the kid came over toward?
Yeah, I'm the one that said it.
So we're standing next to each other. I don't know. I've been there a bunch. I don't know. I'm standing up. I don't. Guess what? You're not the only guy I've stood next to at practice.
Well, you're not the only guy I've stood next to, and I remember the interaction because I said it. I mean, you think you're the only person that talks to people at these practices?
No.
Why does he do that? He thinks everybody else remembers every interaction with him, but he doesn't remember anything. I'll tell the story.
Okay.
So we're over there. We're on the sidelines. Player comes our way. Ball was coming our way. Tony and I, veterans of the practice scene, though, happened to be watching the play develop, coming at us. Still, it's a lot of athleticism between the two of us. We were able to nimbly get out of the way and avoid the contact. And I said to him, see, if we were Kercheval, we would have been looking at the screen right there, and we would have been run over. All due respect to you.
What happened last year was
respect to him.
Was so traumatic for Sam James, he left. Left the school.
Had another year.
You do forget the size and speed at which that game is being played until you're standing there. So in all seriousness, if you're on the sideline, you win the Go Mart man trip, even if it's in pregame. Head on a swivel.
Face the field.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was Devin Carter.
Stay engaged.
I think it was Devin
Carter. Was it? I thought it was one of the tight ends. But regardless, it was a big old young big
man.
player moving
saw it
fast.
Coming? Did you just backpedal or did you go lateral?
Laterally. We split. He split us. He went one way.
Saw it coming. You just go sideways is the key.
Yeah, sideways is the key. Because if you go back, they still might make contact with you.
Yeah.
So anyway, we thought about you at practice the other day. What's the point of the story?
I gotta go. I gotta keep missing things.
Yeah. Well, you're never going to be able to see him practice during the season because every practice is at 10 a.m.
Really?
The whole year.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting.
Yeah. 10 a.m. 10 a.m. now and 10 a.m. for the rest of the year. They're doing that for a couple of different reasons. One being that once they leave the building, like 1 o'clock-ish, they go do some classes. They literally have the rest of the day to themselves. They don't have to go back to the building anymore.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So it gives them more
Won't they go back to eat?
I guess they could go. Yeah, I guess they will go for post-game. But, yeah, they don't have to, though. Some guys, eat at their house. About 92 of them are married. I mean, I don't know if they bring the wife over there or anything like that. But, yeah. Huh. So that's classes have changed, man. I'd like to know the percentage. I'm sure they have it down. What percentage of these guys have online classes?
Oh.
Probably what do you think, Senator?
I don't have a good guess for you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's happening.
A lot, I would think.
By the way, since this isn't a live show, one of our
two shots at me early.
One of our co-hosts knows that. I'm just simply saying that I'm hearing it's thundering outside. If by chance we lose power, we will resume the program. All right. So a bunch of stuff to get into, West Virginia stuff, but the conference story that happened, it all came down on Friday. It was something that we had speculated about. Hey, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. Yeah. And normally when you do talk about a lot of these things, it never happens. Or some version of it happens. A piece of it will happen. But on Friday, we experienced an absolute historic moment in the history of college athletics. And now here, even 3 days afterward, I'm still trying to process it. I still don't think, and I don't know if we fully grasped and embraced what this actually means to us, to West Virginia. I'm going to say this. Listen to it. Okay, I'm going to say this.
Yeah, I'm listening.
West Virginia University is now in a conference with Arizona. West Virginia University is now in a conference with Arizona State, with Utah, with Colorado. I know you can say it and you can hear it. Let it simmer like a tea bag in a cup and just think of the lunacy that we are about to put our foot into here. It is absolutely head-shaking and amazing as to where we are and how we got here. It's stunning. It's one thing for us to say on Friday, hey, the Pac-12 exploded. 4 schools are coming to the Big 12. 2 schools are going to the Big 10. And you just say it. But then you know what? It's like you oftentimes say, Brad, we can sit around and have a gazillion great ideas. But it's the actual execution that's the hard part. Now think about this. Now, I'll be like Bobby Bowden now. Now, not only are they in your league, now you have to play them. Now you have to go there. And the first bullet shot was fired by Arizona State's athletic director this weekend, where he takes a shot at Morgantown in WVU and says, I'll tell you one thing, I'm not going there.
All due respect.
Yeah, all due respect.
Yeah, that's the only thing he left out of that quote, wasn't it?
He did. Well, it was left out.
Well, welcome to the league there, Ray Anderson. Did you think that one through?
So I go, well, who's Ray Anderson? And they said, well, he was in the NFL, Harvard Law grad. A couple things hit me, which are kind of some truths. You can go to Harvard Law and you can be Ivy League smart, but you can also be dumb. And what he said was dumb. Like, your ass was out there Friday. You're lucky you had someone throw you a lifeboat raft and say, here, we're going to take you in. Like, what have you done, Arizona State? Hey, Ray, nice hire on Herm Edwards. That worked real well. You're going to make the NFL in college. You showed us, didn't you? Good move. Solid move on your part. Seriously? This takes a shot at West Virginia. Are you kidding me?
Now we got a rivalry.
Great job. Anyway, so now you got to play these schools. And I'll get off my soapbox here, but it'll never be the same. This is another piece of college sports pulling away from fans. We can be in this league for 50 years, and it still isn't going to twirl your heart when these other schools come in here to play. It'll be different. It'll be different. But that goes across the board in college sports, what we've just done. So I'll leave the floor open to you. How did we get here? It's a business case study of who has the golden rule and the gold rules. And presidents have started, and chancellors and schools and universities have made these decisions incrementally through the years, and they totally lost the entire perspective of what this thing was supposed to be.
You want me to go?
Go.
Well, the answer to your question that you already know is TV has the gold. And that's the incremental decisions that have been made over 25 or 30 years that have landed college sports in this position where a conference that can exist for more than a century can go away seemingly overnight for a few $1 million. I mean, think what Oregon and Washington made that move on. Now, is there more gold in their future? Potentially. But they made that move for not much more than what they were being offered as it was. And there's a lot to unpack with this, and there's a lot of different angles to take with this. But it's stunning from the standpoint that, yes, it's remade the landscape of college sports, and to think there's not a major West Coast presence to college football is really bizarre. And not that we sat there and drooled over West Coast football or watched all that closely, but it's just that's probably not the way this should be. And you've heard me say up here many times, this industry, college football in particular, but college sports in general, is regional in nature. That's what it should be. But here's the thing. I don't know that I talk to anybody that says it shouldn't be that way. Why? Everybody you talk to in and around it says, yeah, it should be. Yeah, we should get back to regional. Yeah, it really should be playing those regions. Yeah, what you say about the ACC opponents makes a lot of sense. Yeah, there should be a West Coast. Yeah, those rivalries. But it never happens. It goes the other way all the time. And that's the part where I just get the feeling, and I don't know how long this is going to be, if it's 10 or 20 or 30 years, when the documentary is done on college sports, do you look back and go, what the hell were those people in charge doing back then?
Absolutely.
What were they doing? How did it get like that? And there's not time on this podcast to go through how that affects.
We're not live. We can go as long as you want.
I know, but people their eyes are going to glaze over at some point because it's not West Virginia based right now. The other sports, the volleyballs, the softballs for the West Coast. What have we just done to all of those sports? When's football going to break itself off and you can start making some decisions on that. And if you want to send Oregon and Washington to the Pac-12 or to the Big Ten, and you want to take those other Arizona schools and Utah and bring them to the Big 12, that's fine. But there's still a Pac-12 that exists for softball and volleyball and swimming and all those other sports that are out there and that schools say that matter, but they don't really care about when it comes down to acting, that all these decisions are made that are football-based. The last piece, and then I know we'll go in a bunch of different directions, I said, Hop, on your show today, maybe we should be looking at this as, I always say conference realignment. You always say conference reorganization. Maybe it's really conference consolidation. That's probably where we're headed. If you look back to the timing of when the Big East went away, it was right before TV contracts and the playoffs changed, right? Before you went to a playoff. This time, it goes away a year before you enter into a new playoff contract. That might be the thing that shows you what's coming next. And are we at the point, now there were 4 more schools that were left out to dry, Stanford, Cal, Oregon State, and Washington State, through no fault of their own necessarily. They were just decided upon that they weren't of interest to the TV networks, and they moved on without them, and now those 4 are left to scramble. What's the next piece of consolidation? Where does this go next? And that's where the West Virginia perspective comes in. Not now, and I agree with everybody that's saying West Virginia wasn't centrally involved in this particular shuffling, and that was kind of nice, right? It was nice to sit back and watch it from afar. You don't have to worry about what your immediate future looked like. But somewhere down the road, you're going to have to again. Whether the ACC explodes and you try and pick up some of their folks, whether they get their stuff together and they start raiding the Big 12, there's still moves coming here. And West Virginia's challenges are still its challenges in the eyes of the TV rights holders. And so that's the part where you kind of look out there and you go, okay, West Virginia was fine for now, but what's the next consolidation move? Who's left out the next time this happens? And that's the part where you always have to have one eye looking down there going, is West Virginia okay
right
down the road?
Do you guys know the story of the Donner Party?
Excuse me?
The Donner, D-O-N-N-E-R, the Donner Party.
No.
1846, the Donner family, and it was the Reed family and other families, set off from Illinois, and they were going to California. It was like 80-some, because it was a promise of a better opportunity. It was somebody out there was going to sell them some land. And they made a couple of mistakes. They got a little bit of a late start. They followed the advice of someone who said, take this, go this way, it's a shortcut. And they got caught in the Sierra Nevada mountains in the wintertime. And they got snowed in. And they ran out of food. And to survive, they turned to cannibalism. And when someone died, they cannibalized the individual to stay alive. And when the history was written about the Donner Party, one of the observations was there weren't really heroes or villains. There were just people trying to survive. And so that's what I see with these schools. It's a matter of survival. And in the effort to survive, if somebody gets eaten, well, that's the price that had to be paid. And that's where we are. So who got eaten? And we're sitting there, Brad, you're saying, oh, goodness, we're not talking about West Virginia. West Virginia is just relieved that it's not the one getting cannibalized.
Correct. That's why you got to look past this move and say, all right, are they going to look at us next?
Whereas there are 4 other schools that got cannibalized, well, that suffered, and you're going, whew, glad it's not us. Glad it's not us. And so are there heroes? Are there villains? Or are there just in these life and death, these figurative life and death circumstances concerning schools and conference survival, there only is survive or die. That's where you are.
I think it's a great analogy. He said that to me earlier. I think it's a great analogy.
His story kind of got dark pretty quick.
It got dark.
Yeah.
But the point remains. And I've said it on this show before, at what point does that really get serious? And it starts to go not only the people that are over there, but it's the people at the table. And I've said this. Why does Vanderbilt, all due respect, get a pass? Why does Rutger get a pass? And I get the mechanics, and I get the every subscriber in that geographical area kicks money back, even if they're not. I get that. But at some point, a Rutgers team that's won 13 conference games in 10 years, what are we doing? If we want to start looking across the table and TV networks are going to pick winners and losers, how long does it take before they get to the point where they say, why are we giving Vanderbilt $80 million? Why does Rutgers get 80 or 100? Get them out. Bring me Florida State in here. Bring me this group in here, and you're out. And you talk about consolidation and relegation, that someone at the table is going to get booted.
Well,
someone's getting booted, Percival.
You're already seeing that discussion begin with Florida State, where schools are saying, wait a minute, how come we're only getting the same amount as everybody else and we're a bigger attraction? So that's the same kind of argument that's taking place. And back to another point you made.
It used to be 20 years ago, you wouldn't have said that in public.
No, you wouldn't have. But that's – and television, which I agree with you, the television is driving all this. Television doesn't care about historic rivalries except when they bring eyeballs, okay? Like Ohio State, Michigan, okay, obviously, USC, UCLA. But if they can get a matchup, I mean, somewhere somebody's going, you know what, Oregon, Michigan, people, we can sell that, you know. So that's what matters to them.
Yeah, and,
right?
and listen, as somebody that consumes as much as you can possibly consume on television, I mean, the television explosion for me, Brad Howe, as a consumer, has been awesome. The availability of games, right? We were growing up, you get one game a week, maybe. Mm-hmm. The fact that we can get all the, I mean, it's been great for me as a personal college football fan. But to the entity of college football, it's come with a heavy price. Think of all those rivalries that have been nixed. And now you potentially have a couple more with the Washington State, Oregon State. And so here's the other part of that. So as you look back on this and start to do the documentary for it, who have been the big winners in realignment, school-wise? Start to go down the list of all the schools that have moved. Who do you look at and say definitively that school has won through pick any of the rounds of realignment? And I'm seriously asking this question.
You're talking about success or money?
I'm not talking about money. Okay. I'm talking about success because I get the money, and I'm not going to rehash my argument of why are we rooting for checkbooks.
Okay, let's do it really quick.
I've got two.
Has Pitt? No. Has Syracuse? No. Go ahead.
Louisville? Has Louisville? No.
Maryland?
Only because they're in, not out, but no, they haven't won anymore. Maryland? No. Missouri? No. Rutgers? No. West Virginia? No. It hasn't got back to where it was. Here's the only two I can come up with that are reasonable that you can say have won and produced. They're in and they're safe, and they have produced at a higher level than where they were before.
In and they're safe because Utah did, but go ahead.
That's one.
Okay.
I give Utah, they have clawed up from the depths of being irrelevant into two different rounds of realignment, and they have a seat at the table, and they've won a decent amount of games.
A&M?
No. Is that what's A&M
They're
won?
down.
They're about the same they've been in the Big 12. Mm-hmm. They got more money. Okay, fine. They're not any better competitively necessarily. The one obvious one to me, TCU was one. Utah was one. TCU's the other. TCU got itself, same thing. It was searching for a home. It was Big East for a minute, then it was not. It found its way out of that Mountain West as well to a stable league, one that it fits geographically. Mm-hmm. So it was a big winner there and got itself into a football national championship game last year. So the new playoff format, check. Into a national championship game, check. In a big league, check. And one that geographically matters and is relevant to them, check. TCU to me is the big winner.
No.
Outside of that, I'm open for text on the next show on who else, if anybody else, has really benefited, been a big realignment winner.
You know who hasn't? And they were the first one to move? Penn State. Now put that into perspective. Think it. Hoppy. Penn State was a what? Perennial national championship contender in the day, right? 70s, 80s, they're a national championship contender. They're not that anymore. They're a really good team in the Big Ten Conference, but they're not national championship.
What about, could you make the argument for West Virginia, considering that when West Virginia landed in the Big 12, they were also in danger of being left out entirely?
Yeah, I get that argument, but so were Utah and TCU, and they've found a way to win more games. I'm going back to outside of just having a seat being in, not out.
Okay.
Yeah, West Virginia obviously they're in, not out, so they do. But they haven't achieved the same success on the field to what they had in the Big East. Be it football or basketball, though I was primarily thinking of football. Mm-hmm. So I don't count them as one of the big winners. Utah's been to multiple Rose Bowls, including the last two. TCU found a way into the playoffs, which had been so difficult for so many different programs. So that's why I have those two as the clear winners. And outside that, I've got a big laundry list of schools that have not done as well. Nebraska's one. Yeah. They're on the outside looking in of success. Yeah. Haven't ever regained what they were in the Big 8. So that's just the other part of that. And again, yeah, you have to stay relevant and not get left out. I get it. But you also at some point have to have some success. And there's a lot of schools through all of these moves. The TV's getting some matchups, but Ohio State's getting richer, Michigan's getting richer, Alabama's getting richer. And there's a bunch of schools in there that just are not the same as what they once were and have paid a significant price, even though their checkbook balance looks better, but they've paid a significant price in loss of rivalries and regionality, and West Virginia is certainly one of those.
And to your point, I think that what Friday showed us is that these schools have no problem whatsoever of sitting across a table and going organized crime and saying everything's going to be just fine and step backward and go, you're out. They don't have a problem doing that. They left 4 schools. Where was the collegiality? Oregon State, Washington State, Cal, Stanford. Where was the collegiality? Left them high and dry. And to your point, you always have to turn around or at least sit in the corner of the room so you can see everyone that's coming at you. Otherwise, you could be next.
There are 3 categories of schools. There are the powerful, the less powerful, and the powerless. Forget rivalries, forget all that stuff. That's who exists. You got the power, you use it. You're powerless, it gets dictated to you, and that's what happened to those schools in the Pac-12.
You got to be good. The only thing you can do internally is you've got to be good. West Virginia was a
Was Arizona any good? Is Arizona State any good?
Basketball, Arizona,
well, basketball,
yes.
But basketball isn't driving it.
I understand, but it's still a name brand, and this is the basketball league in the country in the Big 12. That certainly helped. West Virginia does not go to the Big 12 if it wasn't for Don Nehlen and Rich Rodriguez. Why? Because West Virginia's brand strength was really, really good.
And Chuck Ninus.
And Chuck Ninus and Don Nehlen and the whole thing. That's how you got there. You can't be bad for a long time. Otherwise, you will be pushed off to the side.
But it helped, and the other reason that matters, it helps the other schools in that league welcome that school. It's an easy defense of that school.
Exactly.
West Virginia was easier to defend back then at that time because of the success it had had through Don and through Rich. It was nationally known. There was a national relevance to it.
Yeah,
and
Don
right.
Nehlen was nationally known. They played for national champions.
Yeah, and then Rich backed that up and did
yeah.
the same thing too, and had an exciting brand. So yes, you're right. That's why it's so important for schools have to get back to. You've got to win, especially in football, but also in men's basketball, where those are the 2 relevant sports on most of the national eyeballs. You've got to have the attention so that when the ground shifts, you have someplace to move. It's why so many people are looking at Florida State going, huh? What are you talking about? You're 32-32 in conference over the last 8 years, and you want an unequal share?
But they're a brand.
This isn't Bobby. Bobby Brown's not there. Jimbo won a national title, but they have not done anything since.
Yeah, Hoppy. I mean, Hoppy, it's kind of like the legacy radio station. You know, there's some legacy radio stations that we grew up with that then they'd start to do this, and they go, but that's call letter and you go, well, that's a great radio station. No, it used to be a great radio station. Florida State under Bobby Bowden, the number of 10-plus win seasons they had during his run was unprecedented. His point is the point. 32-32 in the last 8 years.
I understand, but who's going to get more eyeballs, Florida State or South Carolina?
Well, it depends. Florida State hasn't over the last couple of years, Hoppy. We sit around and watch every game that goes on Saturdays, right? How many times do we sit around and talk about Florida State over the last 8 years?
None.
We have not. Now, they got better last year, so they started coming back in the discussion. But Miami is of some interest. Miami doesn't put people in that stadium. They haven't been nationally relevant in 30 years, right? So those are the things. Now, granted, I know the decision makers are of the age that they still look at a Florida State and a Miami of having different cachet, but that's where that unequal pay gets so bizarre because the thing moves up and down so much. Who's to say Alabama's going to be Alabama when Saban leaves? Because they weren't before Saban got there, were they?
Mike Shula didn't have it going.
Clemson wasn't the Clemson of 3 years ago when West Virginia hung 70 on them until they decided we're not going to get 70 hung on us anymore. We're going to change some of our internal practices, and we're going to get back to being good. So that thing ebbs and flows a little bit. So you got to be a little bit careful of that. And Florida, and that's what people are doing in Florida. They're looking side-eye at Florida State going, what? What are you talking about?
Just be good. Just be good. Easier said than done, but just be good. And one last thing on this. Unless you have, what do you got? Another story about another couple that went out to the Northwest?
He wants to argue about Florida State some more.
No, I don't want to argue about Florida State. It's remarkable that this conference that has been around for 110 years, and we keep track. I mean, we don't see as many games. We're like, oh, what's happening at Pac-12? We're fans. We follow it. Oregon's playing Oregon State. Okay, what's going on? And it's just like, what happened? When did it fall? What the heck happened here?
Just wiped off the map.
Yeah,
just wiped off the map.
Off
quickly.
the map.
Yeah.
And It's really
Now,
and also, Brad, like you said, if it comes to this, how does the West Virginia volleyball team women's volleyball team go to Arizona?
Yeah, and listen, I
Not
know,
often.
I know there's a lot of people listening that are going to roll their eyes and say they don't care and they don't want to talk about it, they don't want to hear about it. But those administrators in those departments have to care. They say they care. They have to care. And they just made decisions that affect a bunch of different athletes in their department that aren't going to see the value of the revenue there. That's a real concern for college athletics, even though it might not be for fans to care about it. Now, that said, am I going to turn on when USC plays Michigan and Ohio State? Am I going to watch that game and be dialed in no matter what time it is or what? Yeah, absolutely. So the college football fan experience, to some extent nationally, still carries itself on. It's just that local regional fan base that I feel for again in the realignment situation, because they've lost something they can't get back.
See, I hear it from our fans. When I go out, I was in Charleston last week. I was in Parkersburg this weekend. I mean, to them, that is still a huge, huge thing for them. 11-plus years after West Virginia went to the Big 12. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They very badly missed the opportunity to jump into a car and to go to a Mountaineer road game in a league game. That hurts them. I get it completely. Unfortunately, this is the best scenario that WVU could possibly be in right now.
See, you know what? To that point, it goes back to what you opened the show with, how you feel this is so bizarre. I actually feel less odd about this than I did the first Big 12 move. Like, to me, the weird thing was playing Iowa State and Texas Tech. That felt totally foreign and weird and like, what's happening here? Who are you playing? This, to me, you want to bring Colorado in, you want to bring Arizona in, okay, whatever. It actually feels less weird than the first move.
Well, you said Friday on Sportsline. Hoppy doesn't listen, of course, so we'll let him hear it. You said Friday on Sportsline that basically now with these schools in this league, now you're just going to view these as like old school. These are just not your non-conference portion of the schedule.
All non-conference games. I think basically West Virginia plays an entire slate of non-conference games.
We're like an independent.
Right. It's an independent. You're Colorado coming in this week? Great. Oh, you're going to Texas next week? That's fine. Hey, you want to head over to Iowa and take on Iowa State? Sounds good. Bring them all on. Hey, it's different. It's new opponents. 12 non-conference games. 12 non-conference games. Because what's the conference name even matter anymore, right? No. They're all ridiculous now. So what's it matter? So I'm just going to view this as all non-conference games.
Just view it as TV does. This is the attraction.
As non-conference matchups, just the game. All right, now here's one thing, and then we can move on to current football if you want. The other thing that's coming next, though, is what happens with this new playoff that didn't even have a chance to get off the ground with its parameters before those parameters have to switch now. So top 6 leagues? Top 6 league champions get an automatic berth. Do you take one of those away? Is it now just 5? Does the SEC and the Big Ten come in and bang their fist and say, we need more guaranteed spots? We're not just taking our 1. Mm-hmm. We want 3, 4, 2. So that playoff thing never even got a chance to be implemented, and you have to change it again. Hoppy, that's how fast the thing moves.
Well, I'm
Been clamoring for a bigger playoff for years, and they put one in and say, scrap that, tear that up, doesn't work. Well, hadn't even happened.
I'm sure the SEC and the Big Ten will be more than happy to let the Mountain West have an automatic bid and a few of those other leagues. I'm sure they have no issues at all with that.
I'm sure not. I'm sure they won't
whatever
demand.
Those guys need, you take care. Go ahead and give them those tens of millions of dollars every year. We don't need those doggone dollars. They just get in the way anyway. One last thing on this travel-wise. Football, basketball, it doesn't mean anything. Now you're going to lose your mind. You're going to start screaming, hey, man, don't lose anything. No, it doesn't. The Oregon State coach said this over the weekend. He's 100% right. Football and basketball are still going to travel on 737 charters. And you just sit back. And I saw the breakdown of Arizona State's travel. Mm-hmm. Did you see that graph? And in the Pac-12 and in the Big 12, and it's quote unquote nominal. Don't worry about football and basketball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and football. It's the other sports. Those are the ones where every road trip becomes an absolute adventure. Those are your 3-dayers. You leave the day before the game, you play the game, and then you leave the day after the game. Everything becomes 3. Those are really hard, and you're flying commercial. Those are really, really hard. They wear you out. So that, to me, is going to make it quite interesting for me to see how they end up doing that. Now, I talked to someone Friday who thought they might create a pod system where we would be melded with 3 other
really?
schools.
What would a pod system do? What's the benefit of a pod system?
Potentially reduce your travel.
It would, because you're putting with schools that are closer to you for travel. So that leagues think that's a good idea to put some schools that are close together in these pods. They think,
I believe that's the thought.
That's a good
revolutionary idea.
Hell of an idea. Good job, folks. Yeah, pods.
Hey, I got an idea.
You know what? You could have probably put some teams that are all in the same region and have big conferences that are pods. But that's neither here nor there.
I'm just trying to get a man's work done here and just constantly get criticized.
Pods. You're right. I mean, I'm not taunting you on that. I'm taunting the concept that that's going to be hailed as these great decisions to put these in pods when that's what it was.
You know,
that's
also
what it was before. Big pods.
To the credit of the
it's true.
To the credit of the administrators, what I didn't see on Friday was any of the constant BS about the academics.
Listen, you put Stanford and Cal and push them off the edge into the Pacific Ocean with no life vest. We're done talking academics. Kercheval, don't you do it, because Tony, don't you do it. Don't you come at me one Saturday this year that I don't even want to hear it. And I also don't want to see anybody academically. Nobody should be academically ineligible either. Just forget that. You get rid of those 2 academic institutions, we're done. We're done with that discussion.
That is true. That never got a mention.
We're done with that.
No,
we're just concerned about the young men, the student athletes, young women that play the sports. That's why we're doing the pod system. The Big 12 pod.
I mean, it's head shaker. All right, we'll get into more when we get into textual healing. Mountaineer football team is into its 2nd week of practice. Fan day on Saturday. Senator, you were there.
I was.
Did you have a good time?
I did. Beautiful weather. Sun was out.
Did you meet any 3 Guys listeners?
You know what? I didn't.
Excuse me?
Didn't.
Did you isolate?
I arrived late and went through a side entrance downstairs and right up in the seats. Yeah, I wasn't.
Stunner.
Yeah.
Who'd you sit with? Hunter?
Hunter.
How'd he behave?
Well,
he
was good.
Was he working this heavy?
Well, I took his sheet.
You took his sheet?
I took his sheet.
This, by the way, this is
gold.
This is good. This is gold, and it's also gold this time of year. It's like, wait a second. Hey, is that? Okay, yeah.
It was a beautiful day.
Yeah. What was your takeaway?
Okay, this is going to be kind of long-winded, but I'm going to dive in. You ready?
Sure.
Here's my overall takeaway from 2 practices. And some of this may be wishful thinking, Hoppy, so bear with me, okay?
Wait a minute. You're not saying you have wishful thinking in August, are you, about the upcoming season?
Imagine that, building positivity in August. Here's what I'm walking away with from my first couple live looks at practice, and then just kind of looking at the roster. Let's stay offense for a second. We'll get to defense, but my general overall thought, I believe the narrative coming out that defense is going to be better, right? I think those defensive backs are going to help this year and be better. Okay, fine. Go over to offense for a second. And you start with, if it's going to be Garrett Green at quarterback, or quite frankly, even if Nico plays as well, chances are you're going to have to play them both at some point. But let's start with Garrett Green. The offense, just by its very nature of a guy that is so mobile, is going to have to look a little bit different. You have more options. Okay, start there. Then you go to the backfield, and you've got 3 running backs that have produced at a high level on this stage in C.J. Donaldson, Jalen Anderson, and Justin Johnson. We've seen them all do good things at certain times. So you got 3 right there. Then you enter a 4th that is apparently the front runner for the Heisman in Jaheim White.
Where did that come from?
He wins the Neil Brown Mention
Where did you
Award.
come up with
everybody
that?
else
No,
mentioned him
Jaheim
next.
White,
Jaheim White, since he had that big touchdown run in the spring game. I mean, I have
Who's
heard more
saying
about
that?
Jaheim. Everybody's saying that.
Everybody.
Just Google Jaheim White. There's this article after article after article of Jaheim White. Neil's talking about Jaheim White. Jaheim White, early Heisman winner, front runner. But let's say Jaheim White is a guy that can help you right now this year. Okay, so now you got 4 guys in the backfield. All right. So what's that do, Hoppy? What if you have 4 running backs that are all capable? What are you going to do?
Put somebody in the slot.
You got slot guys. Move them out, motion. And I do think, okay, you have an option to do some of that. Can C.J. Donaldson catch the ball?
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Right? Can you do that with Jalen Anderson? They're talking about, Neil was talking about Jaheim White's ball skills.
Right.
Okay, fine. All right, let's take everybody at their word this time of year. There's some options there. I know receivers don't have a lot of proven options, but let's say Devin Carter does what he did at NC State and was a productive guy. Okay, there. What have we heard about E.J. Horton from Marshall, Tony? What's the Horton file say? The Horton file says what? Tony, the Horton file. What's it say?
Very fast, Brad. Straightaway speed.
Very fast straightaway speed. So, okay, let's say he can get by the defense and catch a couple balls, and you can back that safety up. All right, now you have some room to operate. How about a gentleman by the name of Noah Massey?
Nice target.
What can you read off there, Noah Massey? Can you find his numbers?
Sure. He's a 6'3", 237-pound redshirt senior transfer from Houston, Texas, via Spring Westfield High School, via Bowling Green, via Angelo State.
What position is Noah Massey going to get some run at?
I believe they'll place him in the slot.
Excuse me? Slot. What is he? 6'3" what?
He's a young man that is 6'3" and weighs 237 lbs.
Matchup problem.
When you watch the slot guys in a group and Massey's with them, it's like Wyatt Milam has come over and entered the chat in the slot. So now you put a big guy like that out in the slot, and you still have Rodney Gallagher that can come in and catch a couple passes throughout the course. Point being here, here's what I'm trying to build up. Neil going back to play calling, and I liked what Neil said earlier this week when he kind of went on the offensive and just said, here's the deal. I'll call the plays. It's my 10th year as a head coach or 9th year, or whatever he said. My best years have been when I'm calling the plays. I got the head job because I was a good offensive coordinator. All right, get back to Neil calling the plays. And it seems, Hoppy, and I get that it's August, and seeming is different than actually doing it. And E.J. Horton can't just run by the safety. He's got to catch the ball. And Green can't just look good throwing the ball in drills, which, by the way, he does. Ball jumps out. He's got to be able to get it to him for some play. Yeah, I get all the execution stuff. But I feel like maybe there's some options here with Neil getting more creative than he's been able to be with the offense in the first 4 years. Let it out a little bit because you've got guys maybe that fit. Can this offense maybe give you a little bit that you haven't seen? Is that too far-fetched of a thought there?
No. What you're doing is trying to find just what the coaching staff is doing, trying to find reasons, trying to find ways to be better. Okay, that's what you're doing, and you're looking at people who have potential. So that's what you have to do. The concern about that is you're still talking about a number of people, not a number of people who are untested.
Yeah, you are.
So you don't know.
Yeah,
but
you're hoping for this, and you're hoping for this, and you're hoping. I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
But I hear what you're saying. Let me build on that. The defense last year gave up, 33 points a game, which was one of the worst in the league, like 9th in the league. If you improve by 15%, that means you would allow 28 points per game. That's good for 4th that would be good for 4th instead of 9th, according to last year's rankings. So you don't have to improve you got to improve, but you don't have to improve 50% or 30%. Improve like 15%.
That's realistic.
What's that?
That's realistic.
Yeah. Offensively, you average 31 points a game in a league that scores a lot of points. That was 9th. That was 9th in the league. If you improve 10%,
3 points a game.
3 points a game, 34 points, that moves you up to 4th last year. So I'm kind of aspirational like you are, that if you can just do not even substantially better, somewhat better, you're gonna move. You can move.
Well,
okay.
We've talked about the schedule, how balanced the schedule is from 4 through. I mean, it maybe end up being from 1 to 14, but 4 through 14. So I think there's some opportunities there. Defensively, I just keep going back to you were literally 2 plays away last year. 1 play, and take your pick. There were 4 or 5 to choose from in the Pitt game. And 1 roughness penalty at the end of the Kansas game that kept that drive alive instead of forcing them into a 55-plus yard field goal in the rain to tie. You're 2 plays away from winning 7 games last year with that defense that just really struggled. Can you not get in that range again? Is that unrealistic to think? And I know what all the predictions are.
So.
I know what the Vegas win total says to you. But that doesn't seem to me like you're asking for too big of a leap. That feels realistic.
No, you're right. That is 2 more interceptions. Instead of getting 4, you get 6 or 7, okay? That's instead of getting a roughing penalty, you get a sack. That's literally a couple plays, right? At key parts of the game. And we'll talk more about this. I think what's most concerning is I hate this open. I really do. I love the open. I hate the open. Because if Penn State is as good as everybody says it is, and you get whacked, that could set you back for for a long time, for a month.
And if you play that out it's a really tough first 4 games. Take Duquesne out of there. That's where, I mean, you're going to get a really good indication early. And I'm with you. That's, as we've said many times, fan perspective. Penn State back on the schedule, awesome. Great. Normally, I would be giddy about that. For Neil Brown and this football program, I'm not giddy about that for them because that shouldn't be your opening game there. That's not where this program should be. It should have a game where you can build some confidence, get some win. We can see some of those things I just talked about. They can put them into action and see how you respond. Then you get Duquesne. And then comes that massive game against Pitt.
Massive.
But to go Penn State, Pitt, Texas Tech, who's picked in the top quarter of the league there, that's a really difficult start.
And Pitt's, that's going to be a pick 'em. Penn State's favored by 20. You always struggle with Texas Tech. I mean, it is a very, very difficult schedule. But I'm like you. I mean, at this point in the season, it's reasonable to try to build a case for being better.
Okay. Thank you. Thought you were going to attack me.
No.
You guys good? Hoppy, I think you made some great points.
Oh, thank you.
Don't need to be 50% better. Need to be 10 and 15% better, and that should put you in a pretty good position.
You'll be better. You know, you have to be. I mean, you can't be 9th in points allowed and points scored and have a winning record.
And to add to that, and I always do this too. This is why I don't get too excited one way or the other. It's football. You're going to get injuries. It's who gets hurt, when they get hurt, and what position they play.
Mm-hmm.
That's happening. That's going to happen. The reality of the game. So you don't know those things. So we can sit here and speculate, and we can make logical predictions as to what needs to happen, but you just never know personnel-wise what is going to happen, and so you just kind of play it out. That's what makes this thing both tense and fun when the season goes on, because sports are the last, to my opinion, one of the few remaining reality television shows.
That are real reality.
That's what I mean. I mean, like
unscripted.
Yeah, unscripted. Like, to me, this is actual reality TV. That every week we have a new episode, and you don't know. You don't know if the opposing team's quarterback is going to get knocked out on the first series. You don't know. And so as a result, this is real reality TV. So I just kind of sit there, watch it, and see how the whole thing unfolds.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. That's what makes it's both, to me, what makes this time of year fun, when you can do those things we just did and take this, okay, if this happens and you move him here and you pop C.J. Donaldson out in the flat for, you can do all that, coupled with really nobody knows bleep.
Yeah.
Nobody knows bleep.
But you can
including
scenarios.
Including Neil and the staff, guys. I mean, we say this all the time. If they were sitting here and giving you a 100% honest conversation, they'd say the same thing too. For a lot of the reasons Tony just said, with the injuries, you don't know what's happening, and you got to put these guys in game situations and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's what makes this fun. That's why we anticipate it and look forward to it.
I mean, how many coaches have we talked to through the years where either this time of year before their season is about to begin, they'll say, "I'm going to tell you one thing we'll be able to do," they'll say this, and then the season's over. You go like, "Well, that didn't happen." They don't know. Sometimes they think, and to their best of the ability, they think it's going to happen, but for whatever reasons, it doesn't. You guys ready for a little healing?
Yep. Oh, my gosh. Look at all these.
There's a lot. Great song. Isn't it a great song? Nice song. Where's he gone, by the way?
Disappeared.
You any idea where Saab is?
Witness protection.
You probably made him mad when you attacked the insurance industry.
You think that's what it was?
Oh, might have been.
I didn't think of it that way.
Accountants.
Son of a gun, you might be right. Hey, Saab, check in with us if you would. Just let us know you're all right. Would like another song, because I got another guy that sings music for a living that might be interested in taking over.
Wow. That was less about you're concerned about
conference realignment. Caridi up here being the TV networks.
Had a wonderful conversation.
Consolidated right there.
Just threw Saab in the river right there.
Saab's out there busting his butt, and Caridi just ran him over.
Well, got to produce if you want to be on this three guys team. Had a great conversation. Fantastic musician, Charles Wesley Godwin. He attended Mountaineer practice this morning. Spoke to the team.
Did he?
Yeah, spoke to the team during mid-practice break. And we're just sitting there talking. I've known Charles since he was just a young little guy. He's the same age as, in the range of my kids. And so I knew him when literally elementary basketball and Morgantown High and all that stuff. And he offered to me.
Yeah?
He offered to me. He said, I don't miss an episode 3, guys. And I said, seriously, dude? He goes, yeah. He goes, because, I'm touring, I'm out and around. He goes, that's the only way I keep my connection. He still lives here.
Yeah.
He's across the river over in Westover.
Of course.
Yeah. And
parents, longtime residents of a neighborhood here in town.
Over yeah.
Thank you.
So Neil brought him out to speak to the team. He is going to perform at the stadium at halftime with the Mountaineer marching band of the homecoming game.
Oh, okay.
That'll be cool.
And he's going to sing his song, Q Country Roads. So he is touring right now with Luke
Bryant?
Brian.
Really?
Yeah, he is.
That's big.
He opens for Luke Bryan. He leaves tomorrow, going to Minnesota where the Timberwolves play, and he's gone for the rest of the month. And so he was telling me today, it's the first time he's going to perform in a circular stage.
In the round, we call that in the industry.
Well, I know what it's called. I was kind of helping people. Fine, in the round. Check over.
Going to be on a circle. Going to be on a big circle.
Good to have Quincy Jones with us here. And so he's going to perform in the round.
You said a circle.
Well, I was going to I paint the picture. And I was going to end the round.
When people know you say you're performing in the round, they know. You don't have to say it's a circle.
Charles gave me an indication. He'll be performing.
I don't know that I would have known in the round. I needed.
You don't know?
No, I've never heard in the round.
But listen to this. There's more to this.
I'm not putting on concerts, not Ticketmaster.
There's more to this. Okay. He told me he's performing down in Greenbrier County. Hoppy, there's a big event coming up, anti-drug concert, something big. He's going to perform. Told me he's wearing an efforting T-shirt.
I love it.
Oh, God.
I said, seriously, dude? He goes, yeah, I got it, man. He says, I'm wearing it.
Oh, it's awesome.
You get the gold or the blue, did he say?
He didn't say.
Awesome.
Efforting. I mean, how many people are going to look at that and go, no one?
Well, that could be it. Think about this.
Will he give us a shout out?
Well, probably, but listen.
I don't want to beg, but
all of it. He's got fans all over the country now, right? Probably in different parts of the world. What if they see that T-shirt and they go like, "How do I get one of those?" Charles drops an episode800.com on them. Our boys won't know what to do. They're in shipping and delivery.
That's funny.
All right, let's get serious right now.
All right.
Good morning, Tony, Brad, and Hoppy. This is Brian Bowl, avid Three Guys listener. You guys are awesome. I'm writing to invite you to our annual fundraiser dinner that we have coming up 24th of August at the Green Turtle at Deep Creek Lake. We've got a foundation called the WGW that in 11 years has raised over $1.3 million for youth organizations in Garrett County, Maryland. You can check us out at wgwgolf.org. Here's the story on this. For the past several years, we've always brought a large group of Garrett County young folks for a basketball game. Last year was Oklahoma, halftime game, free throws after the game. Over 400 came out last year. Some of these kids, first time out of Garrett County, the organization founded upon the sudden passing of our 2-year-old son, Landon Bowl, during the 2006 WVU versus Marshall football game from SUDC, sudden unexplained death in childhood, while my wife and I were at the game.
Oh, jeez.
But since then, we have distributed over 500,000 children's books in his memory in Garrett County, as well as started and run a youth basketball league and given to over 70 youth organizations in the county. Deshaun Butler is planning to attend the event, and we would love to have you guys as our honored guest as well if you want to slip over that night. Thanks in advance for your consideration. We are WVU strong in Garrett County. And by the way, Tony, I'm a CPA by trade, so be careful with the accountant jabs. Thanks again for considering, and I know you guys are very busy. So I did write back to him. And obviously, we're super tied up, and right during that stretch is we're doing Sports Line, and it's crazy time. But I said I would do this, that I would read this. And so someone out there, if this touches your heart, let me hit you with that website again. And if you want to get involved, it's wgwgolf.org, wgwgolf.org. And that would be an absolutely fantastic organization to get involved with, and good for Deshaun to be heading out there. So thank you very much. Glad he didn't take too much offense to the accountant.
You're lucky.
All I said is that accountants always seem surprised every year that taxes are due in April, and they lose their mind. That's all I said. They run around like, do you know taxes are due? Yeah, it happens every year. Mitch from Buchanan.
By the way, the days are getting shorter.
You know what, though? I came back from Parkersburg the other night.
I come back from Parkersburg.
Come back from down route. I'll tell you, a couple things surprised me. Yeah. Two things that surprised me on my way back Saturday night from Parkersburg.
How light it was, how late?
How light it was, how late. Dude, 4 cops. 4 cops sitting in the median on the way up.
Were you doing okay?
Yeah, I was doing fine. I thought they got me on my way down there, but he didn't come. But 4 cops just sitting lights off and dead slap in the middle. I'm going like, I told Joan, I said to the wife, I said, this never happens. This thing's normally like a testing zone for Daytona 500. At 50, just asks you to.
No, that's where I got into trouble with Coach Stu that one
you
time.
Did.
Thank God I had Stu with me, or
yes, you did.
Probably wouldn't have my license.
Oh, really?
Right
yeah.
How fast were you going?
I mean, I was exceeding the speed limit. I mean, at Coach's behest, he had to get back, so I was going. I've told the story before. He got me out of 2 speeding tickets within like a mile and a half range.
Mile and a half?
If. Thank you, Coach Stu.
Did he play the Stu card? He played the...
Well, no, he did. He did.
He didn't have to. I mean, he introduced himself. Hi, Coach Stewart here.
Coach Stewart.
Just slow down. Young Brad, not young Brad's fault. It was
not the young man's fault.
Young Brad. Mitch from Buchanan.
Coach Stu.
My guy.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Mitch from Buchanan checking back and after my summer hiatus. One observation, one suggestion for you clowns. Observation, Tony. You say texter before every text as if it's going to be anything different. It's literally textual healing. We know it's a texter, almost like when Alex Trebek would say answer before reading the answer in Jeopardy. Okay?
I have a defensive view on that.
Thank you. It's the separator, right?
It's to separate, so we know it's the texter saying it and not you saying it.
Yeah. Anyway, that's fine. Suggestion, you guys want to get on a boat and actually move and enjoy Courchevel? I told you guys a long time ago. They do beer cruises at Stonewall Resort all the time. Double-decker, giant pontoon. Room for lots of folks. Great time to actually enjoy the water while throwing back some brews and meeting your fans. Just clear the date with me first, please, and thanks. Anywho, glad to have you all back on a regular schedule. Let's effort the beer. Where the hell did he go? We haven't gone anywhere. What's he talking about regular schedule? We're in here Sundays. I mean, we're putting together, right? We're laying bricks down on Sunday afternoons here all summer long. Where's he been? Mitch.
Mitch.
Texter. Hey, 3 guys. P6 listener, first-time texter. I'm listening to the Quincy interview while driving my family from Cincinnati to Glade Springs last weekend for a little East Coast wide reunion. Kids watching a movie, wife reading a book, so I decided it'd be a great time to catch up on 3 guys. I was immediately informed by my lovely bride that the sound of the guys talking was annoying and had to be put headphones on while I was chauffeuring my family through Appalachia. Meanwhile, I enjoyed Quincy talking Weir football and his cousin Art. I was a freshman when Art was a senior. I was a senior. Quincy was a sophomore. We're blessed with great coaches, many great athletes, except for my senior year, 96. Quincy had a knee that kept him out most of the season, but I think it was probably best for his long-term aspirations to stay away. Still a long-held belief 26 years later that if he could have been healthy, we would have at least won 1 more game and raised our record to 2-8. In the long-celebrated history of Weir football, I take some pride in the fact that when my brother and I were captains of the Weir football team, we were a combined 1-19, a nice family legacy. Certainly something to look forward to. Looking forward to episode 800. P.S. The Courchevel is fantastic and look forward to spreading it to Cincinnati this fall. Signed by Ryan via Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati, and Weirton.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Ryan.
Hey, fellas, this is Matt in Georgia. Listen to the Garrett Green episode. He was great. Sounds like a comfortable, confident. Could be a big year from him. Love the fact that he doesn't have feathers like a brine shrimp-eating flamingo. You all are a hoot. Keep it up, guys. Love the show. Well, Garrett ran over during that break in practice to say hello to Charles Wesley. He's got him on his playlist. He knew who he was.
Excellent.
Yeah. Texter, he did mention you, by the way. Garrett did. I said, hey, the numbers were really good on that show. And he said, yeah, I had to keep my boy Hoppy away from me. So here's a kid in the middle of Mountaineer practice, and you're still stuck in his head a little bit.
You know, I just
wasn't the right place.
It's that time of year. I just wouldn't like for, and I don't know Nico Markule, but you know, we meet these guys and they handle themselves anymore so well. And you just want him to do well, you know. And wouldn't it be great? Because he's just good. I mean, he's good with the way he handled himself, Brad. He's good with how he answers questions. He's confident, but not overly cocky. I mean, he would be. And with all due respect to JT Daniels, I mean, he was just kind of aloof and kind of doing his own thing. I mean, it would be nice to have somebody who's like, yeah, that'd
be great if he goes out and has a great season. He's easy to root for. He's easy to root for is what you're going for, right?
Thank you.
Yep. And we have had Nico on the show. I don't think you were with us that day, but we had Nico in when he was.
It was great.
When he was a commit before he arrived here. He was
great too.
Yeah, he did a great interview.
Yeah,
tremendous.
Texter, hey, three guys. Jared in Charleston missed you guys at the baby shower. Still waiting for an event in Charleston to collect that love offering. With football season approaching, I wanted to pose this question: which happens first? West Virginia wins a league game, or this baby makes his grand arrival. The baby's due date is 10/7. West Virginia will play Texas Tech and TCU in September.
You got to get back at Texas Tech.
Win. Beat Texas Tech.
Beat Texas Tech.
Texter.
Yeah.
Just finished Garrett Green's episode. Great stuff as usual. Fudge coming Thursday by the way of a personal delivery to Scopes in Charleston. It'll be the first iteration of Crunchy Fudge. Hopefully, y'all enjoy it.
There's no fudge.
Looking forward to a 2-week now. Greatly helps my long drives for work. Signed by Michael in Culloden.
He's back from his Thursday Charleston trip. Have you seen any fudge?
None. What happened, Tony?
It's still around. Here, no, in all honesty.
What happened?
It's in my fridge. It's in my fridge at home.
Oh, okay. Well, bring it.
There were 2. There's 1. But that's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
It is good.
Michael, thanks for the thought. Maybe next time we'll get in on that. Thank you. Very much appreciate that.
This was the first time you made it with crunchy peanut butter.
Oh.
Wouldn't be good for you. Wouldn't be good. Sweet. A lot of sugar. Yes.
My blood sugar issue.
Yeah, blood sugar. Take care of that. Texter, Tony, Hoppy is coming around your way of thinking when it comes to being social. I love it. Go Mountaineers. Well, that's nice.
It's a Greenbrier County thing.
Yeah, it brought you out of your shell.
You were a hit.
You were a hit. People loved Hoppy. Hey, guys. Texter.
More of an acquired taste, really.
Last week, I spent a week vacationing in Key West. One morning, I'm relaxing, spending some time on the empty beach across my condo there. Nobody else was within several hundred yards either direction. Beach was so empty, I felt like I was on my land in Hardee County. After about 20 minutes of being by myself, I heard some other people walking on the beach. I look over. To my surprise, families setting up their towels. Guy wearing a WVU shirt.
Of course he was.
Yep.
I yelled, "Let's go!" He immediately answered back with, "Mountaineers." His family and he were visiting from Beckley. Just amazing. Only 2 people on the beach. West Virginia connection. Thanks for a great series of summer interviews. Looking forward to shocking the world this fall. Dan in Damascus, Maryland.
West Virginians will fly the colors. They will wear the colors.
Very much so.
You've been to Key West? You have, haven't you?
I have, a couple times.
Oh, it's really nice. Oh, it's weird for you. You just rolled your eyes. You don't like it.
No. It's a fascinating place. It's kind of bohemian.
Excuse me?
Kind of bohemian, which is interesting. Yeah, I like it. I like it there.
Okay. I heard the food's really good. I hear the fish and all that stuff's good. Huh? Texter, Max, who was in Iowa City, now in Scottsdale, Arizona. I think
all conference teams.
Yeah, one of our neighbors.
Yeah.
I think Mountaineer Nation should be incredibly happy that we've got a seat at the table. We may have a smaller chair compared to the SEC and Big Ten, but we still have a chance to make some noise nationally. We can all ask. That's all we can ask for, honestly. However, I'd like to add something to all this realignment talk. The big fish no one's talking about, Notre Dame.
Oh.
To me, they're the biggest catch out there. Sure, they have their own deal with NBC. However, all this talk about bringing more teams to the Big Ten also needs to be viewed through a prism. How will this help get Notre Dame or force Notre Dame to join? A lot of smoke and mirrors going on by the other conferences. My gut feeling is that Washington-Oregon talk is somewhat of a farce to get dominoes to fall and help them catch their long-coveted prize Notre Dame. Well, who's this guy's name? Max? Didn't age well, Max. They be in. Tell Brad ASU does have a lot of fans. He mentioned they didn't on Sportsline. They are just hitting Bottled Blonde in Old Town Scottsdale or a pool party in mid-October. If you lived here, you'd understand. It takes an unreal Arizona State team to pack the stands, but they do watch.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah, not in the stadium.
Does the AD go to the games?
No, he doesn't know.
Hey, three guys. You guys make the point that the most successful West Virginia teams need to have pro-caliber talent. If you had to put a number on it, how many NFL players are on this roster heading into this season? John in Phillipsburg, New Jersey. Thank you, John. John, it's just not West Virginia. Any college team, you got to have pros if you want to win at the highest level.
3?
No, more.
4? Okay, 2 offensive linemen.
4.
Donaldson.
4 offensive linemen.
4 offensive linemen.
Talked to a guy last week.
4.
He thinks there's a chance there's 4 current offensive linemen would have a chance.
All right,
So they'll have a chance. Yeah.
3. Okay, but at least 2, probably 3.
3 for sure.
3 for sure.
3 for sure.
Okay, 3.
Nestor Frazier and Wyatt Milam, 3 for sure, have legitimate chances.
Okay, how many others then?
The one more lineman. I don't know which lineman he was referring to. If he sees a baby out there that he thinks is going to be really good.
Okay.
And then C.J. Donaldson has a chance.
Got a chance. I mean, running backs are not in demand. I mean,
Understand. Texter, Charlie from Midlothian. Wow, where's he been? Scope, Spreads, and Hopster. Here I am. Look at this. My episode 800 efforting t-shirt as I continue to play the Kroger Fuel Points gamification while filling up the wife's car. So he's got the efforting t-shirt on there, and he's going back and forth between the pumps. P.S. With all due respect, do you think Gomart got the idea for their Fuel Points gamification from any of my previous posts? Probably not, but it's good to see you wearing the shirt. Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie.
he's just like gassing up the neighborhood there, isn't he?
Guy runs a telethon at the pump. Texter, rank WVU 1 through 5 football and basketball with the Pac-12 additions. So you got 4 new schools. Where do you rank West Virginia football among the 5? They're not 1. Utah's 1.
Yeah.
Your other picks?
I would put them Arizona State, Colorado. I mean, all kind of mixed in that, Brad, that 5-win, 7-win area, right?
For this particular year?
I guess.
Or next year or traditionally?
I guess
Because traditionally you're right at the top. Traditionally you're at the top if you're West Virginia.
Football?
Yeah.
But not basketball. You'd be 2.
Yeah, 2.
All time. Okay. Hi, guys. Texter. I'm not sure if there's a wager on Nico's passing yards available for his first game in Tempe, but I'm taking the over. Sitting out here on the West Coast, talking to friends of these Pac-12 schools. I do insurance, so not much work gets done. I just wanted to pass along a genuine excitement and interest I'm seeing as to the news conference. I think each of the new Big 12 schools fits in terms of fan base, and I generally cannot wait to bring my son to Mountaineer games each year without having to make the 3 to 5 hour flight east. I promise WVU Nation they will like what they find in Boulder, Tempe, and Tucson. Do not sell Salt Lake. I'll tell you what.
Salt Lake, beautiful.
I'll tell you what about Salt Lake. I would fly in an airplane to Salt Lake to eat at Voltaire's restaurant.
Really?
Downtown Salt Lake. Voltaire. I'd get back on the plane and fly home. Is that good?
I'd like to go. I've never been. I've been to the other schools' locations. I'd like to go.
It's breathtaking. Breathtaking.
Well, the nice thing is when that pod system comes into play, since you've got 2 schools right in that area, maybe you just make one big trip out there. You'll have a full week out there. Just go to training camp maybe in Denver in the week in between, like teams do the Greenbrier.
Get ready for the elevation.
Yeah, just stay out west. I mean, isn't that what teams do when they come east? 49ers, they go to the Greenbrier.
Yeah.
They play, then they go back to the Greenbrier, then they play again.
Mm-hmm.
So when that pod system comes in, you just go out there, just go to Utah for a couple weeks.
Or be like baseball West Coast swing.
Yeah.
Play. I got 3 games in Colorado.
How does the basketball tournament work? How do you do that? How do you do 16?
How many teams or where?
How do you do 16
I don't
postseason?
know. How many do we have in the Big East that year? 14?
You didn't have 16.
2 didn't go? Or 16 and 2 didn't go?
You don't think people go?
Well, I don't know. Otherwise, you're going to have to start on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets in.
But you know me. Good.
Can't all get in.
More games. Bring them all in. More games.
Continuing this text.
Playing games at campus locations.
Don't play in Kansas City?
Yeah, so that's the other thing I thought of. Does Kansas City get to keep the tournament?
Kansas is nervous. They're at a home court advantage about to go away. Going to go out to the Utah Jazz Stadium because you got more conference members in Utah than any other state outside of Texas. I know.
Benny in the Bay.
Utah now is our.
Out to Salt Lake. Go to the Jazz facility. Is it
believe
available in
now
March? Send the Jazz on an East Coast swing. Go out there and play the Big 12 tournament. And
this is how crazy.
Got to get recruited for Utah now.
This is how crazy.
You got the Hot Rod statue out there and everything, right? Meeting room named after Hot Rod. Got to just head out there. Utah.
What, Tony?
This is how crazy it has gotten. Think about this. In the course of 20 years, we will go from. You remember the awesome times you used to have the Big East tournament in New York at the Garden, and we're going to be sitting out in Tucson.
Yeah. All due respect.
Sure. Texter, this guy continues. We're fortunate to be in a position to watch realignment take place and not be part of that realignment. Props to WVU. Props to Commissioner Yormark and the Big 12 for pulling this off. We seem to be in a lucky position for now. Wishing you best. Love the show. See you on the West Coast. Benny in the Bay Area. Probably not his real name.
Probably not his real name. You know, one other thing we hadn't talked about there, and there's some starting already that talk about what bowl tie-ins come back to the league. Because you got some pretty attractive bowls. Does the Holiday Bowl come into a mix? We've said a lot of times we love that particular bowl game. There's some different, maybe exciting bowl ties coming into this.
There, mentioned Yormark and WVU President E. Gordon Gee happens to know or have hired so many people associated with these schools, like people at Colorado, key people there. And don't underestimate his contacts with a lot of these schools. And he's been a principal player in this, in what this league's going through right now.
Texter, long-time listener.
I do hope the 11 p.m. West Coast, Mountain Time Zone, whatever time zone it is, Big 12 won't figure that out for about 3 decades. Hope that there's not too many of those. I don't want to be staying up to 11 p.m. Eastern tip.
Right now, though, the Big 12 office is going nuts, going, what do we do? We have 4 time zones.
Yeah.
No, wait a minute. Are they in the Pacific time zone?
Need some clarification from our Arizona.
Depends on what time of the year. I think they do some weird stuff.
See, that's legitimately confusing.
I think they do some weird stuff, like certain parts. They're one of those ones, kind of like one of those parts.
We need some Arizona education here.
Long-time listener, first-time texter, everything going crazy in conference shakeup. My mind goes to Don Nealon episode, where he was the main force that took care of West Virginia again. Nealon is such an amazing man and Mountaineer through and through. I know my opinion doesn't matter that much, but he should have his statue in front of the stadium and his name on the stadium. I would hate to think of where WVU athletics would be without Donnie Nealon.
Hey,
tons of true stuff right
so
there.
Here you go. This is going to when this happened, somebody in the Big 12 office, the top of their head just blew off. Arizona time zones, Mountain Standard Time all year, most of the state, and Mountain Time.
I knew it.
Technically, all of Arizona observes Mountain Time. But whether that's Mountain Daylight Time or Mountain Standard Time depends on the time of year and where you are.
That's what I thought.
So nobody really ever knows what time it is roughly. What time you got?
Does anybody know what's a Chicago song, right? What time it is?
Excellent.
Plus, you're right. I mean, if you play for once every few years, you play Arizona because you have to play at night because it's so hot. And the game starts at 7, so it starts at 11 Eastern.
10, or 9, or whatever.
Whatever it is.
Or basketball games late.
Yeah. Jeez. Have to move our studios to Utah.
Texter says, Dear 3 guys, in terms of conference realignment, I don't even think of it as adding certain teams anymore. It's about what time zones did you add? Are you capable of managing the promos for those games? The Big 12 could barely comprehend Eastern time, so they went ahead and added 3 more from the Mountain Time Zone. Why do I have a feeling they'll put a promo out for a WVU game? I'll tune in at the appropriate time only to find out the game is over and West Virginia lost in the Mountain Time Zone to Arizona State at 9 a.m.
Remember the Pac-12 was thinking about starting games at like 9 or 10 in the morning?
Yeah.
They did a couple.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
They might as well just add Hawaii,
Yeah.
get over it. It's not by Professor Vinny.
It's good, Vinny.
Just keep going. Just keep going to Hawaii. Play again.
Let me send out the occasional reminder. If we could, let's try to condense the amount of text in a text because it decreases your chance of getting it read. Fair? Is that a fair statement?
Plus, we were talking about
did I say that nicely enough so it didn't come across as being mean?
Yeah,
keep it tight. Keep it tight. And we were talking about going an hour today.
Yeah, we kind of peed that one away, Hoppy. We're heading toward 90 minutes. I'll do this one. I'm not going to read any more long ones. Hello, friends. I'd like to take a moment to talk about a subject that the highly intelligent and respectable Hoppy and Brad have continued to try to stay away from. But yet here we are again because someone, Mr. Oh, I shot a sleeping pig now, so I'm a hunter, keeps bringing it back up. So let me just mention the things that have happened since Tony has mocked our red-eyed winged friend.
Oh, again.
So he's talking about Mothman here?
Yeah.
He says these aren't in order. Basketball team loses first round. Baseball team went to Home Run Derby All-Stars to Bad News Bears and not the original movie. Our Hall of Fame basketball coach loses his mind. That's all I'm going to say. Number 4, Hoppy has a vacation ruined by a freak high ankle sprain. Needed surgery. 5, Brad has barely been on his pontoon. 6, women's coach leaves after an awesome year and doesn't even leave a note.
True.
7, Best Virginia loses to those Marshall guys. He called them chumps. I'm not going to call them chumps. I'm sure there is more, but I think I've made my point. Tony, you need to sacrifice a goat or bake him some brownies or something and get them to Point Pleasant before football season, and don't mention him again. But for the real love of what you all do, Stephen in Morgantown. So apparently he's...
Has been a rough run.
Apparently he's a little upset. Mothman. Texter, the number may seem odd at first, but I would love to see the Big 12 eventually expand to 19.
That's a good
In basketball, you could do a true round robin, 18 league games home and away with each school every other year. Football, 9 league games, you could play each team alternating home and away every 2 years. So that in 4 years, each school plays every other school home and away. 19 might be a ridiculous number, but honestly, 16 is also. That's as close as you can get to the perfect round robin Big 12 use since West Virginia joined.
That was well done.
Texter.
What, 19 might be a ridiculous number, but honestly, 16.
What I mean, is any number ridiculous now?
That's a good one.
Texter, I'm astounded. So many WV fans are excited for the ACC to implode so we can potentially add Pitt and Virginia Tech. Why? Let them suffer. Were they clamoring for West Virginia to come into the ACC when the Big East was over? P.S. Senator, don't let Scopes bully you about your coffee order. Black coffee is great, but different flavors in your coffee are great too. Signed by Evan in Charleston.
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah, when the Big East was struggling, I mean, Syracuse and Boston College and Pitt just like...
Oh, yeah, they gave us a finger.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Texter. Guys, you'll all be talking about this, obviously, and for some time, so I thought I'd share my thought. Okay, so college football and basketball are now pro sports. No denying that. People will come to that mindset. So proud of your Mark. He did it, and it's not yet done. Next steps. Add Connecticut and Gonzaga as basketball-only members. Separate media deals for football, basketball. Attract BC, Pitt, Georgia Tech, and Duke to the Big 12. Florida State and Clemson go SEC. ACC collapses. Miami should be in the mix somewhere because of their media area. Can't figure out where they may go. Maybe them instead of BC to the Big 12. Nowadays, and by the way, new conference names are just around the corner. Any guesses? I have no idea.
The Big 19.
I don't know what the heck they're going to call this stuff. The media deals I'm talking about are huge. They'll shortly eclipse the NBA and NHL. Likely that each conference will have a set weekday schedule. Big 12 plays Wednesdays, Thursday, be the most valuable day. SEC gets Tuesday, Big 12, Big 10 fight over Wednesday. And basketball media deal will be huge, larger than any other in football, 15 years. This is In 15 years, college basketball will be more popular than college football. I don't know what you're basing that off of. Jan from Chicago, originally from Morgantown. Texter, gentlemen, quick conference chaos thought. Oregon and Washington currently thankful the Big Ten life raft. How long before it becomes a memory? Watching Purdue and Rutgers and USC getting $70 million a year when they get $35 million would seem to get old before the Big Ten media rights expire.
Mm-hmm.
Texter, hey, three guys. This is the only appropriate shirt to wear on a Monday morning as one starts a new work week. Let's go. There you go.
Efforting.
Brandon in Barrickville. Hello.
Thanks, Brandon.
Well done.
Texter, hey, three guys.
Bless you.
With Hoppy's new commentary and comparing conference realignment to the Donner Party and cannibalism, what's the over-under for cannibalism references from now until episode 800? 1.5 seem good?
That line moved significantly when Hoppy already mentioned it today.
Yeah.
Line's
so he's
on the
already
move.
at 1. Yeah,
Yep.
So that took that.
Live line on the move.
Texter.
What's the money line?
Texter, P1 Jennings.
Oh, yeah.
I was listening to Sportsline on Saturday when Scopes mentioned
Podcast version.
the podcast, sure. When Scopes mentioned Don Nehlen's involvement with the move to the Big 12. I paused Sportsline, went back to the July 31st,
2019?
Yeah.
2019 Three Guys podcast, and I listened to it again. I highly recommend every Three Guys listener to go back and listen again and thank Coach Nehlen for his pivotal role in getting WVU to the Big 12. By the way, I'm in favor of putting together a gift basket from Gomart for the Arizona State folks when they have to come to Morgantown. Just a thought.
Why did you start to slip into an impersonation? By the way.
Why would that athletic director say that? I just heard the quote. I mean,
I saw the quote.
Is there something else
Did
to
you
that?
hear him say it?
I have not heard. It had to just be an attempt at humor and meaning it was a long way away and it just missed. And he didn't think how that would land. Had to be. Couldn't have been a legitimate criticism of Morgan. It just couldn't. I mean, it just couldn't have been. Had to just be an ill-fated attempt at humor, I would think.
Billboard. I mean, locker room material for 3 years from now when they come here. You know what he said 3 years ago?
Texter, Mike from Oakdale, Pennsylvania. Oakdale. Very familiar with Oakdale, right up the road.
Where's Oakdale?
Near Pittsburgh.
Okay.
Beautiful this time of year. Fine people in western Pennsylvania. A lot of Mountaineer fans.
Sure, Mike.
Sure, Mike's a wonderful man.
Hard worker.
Scopes, spreads, and suds. People are clueless if they think the ACC is where West Virginia needs to be right now. Yes, it would be great to have built-in regional rivalries and less travel, but for the first time in the realignment craziness, we're on the winning side. College sports have changed dramatically, and West Virginia is in a safe, profitable spot. No need to join the rocky boat that is the ACC. Sit back, enjoy the ride, and support the Mountaineers. Once again, Mike in Oakdale, Pennsylvania.
But if we've learned anything through all this, is that you don't know. I mean, again, I go back to the Donner Party, like, okay, we didn't get eaten today, but you know what? Somebody might get hungry in the near future, and you just
you're right.
Don't know.
Just be happy to where you are today, and we'll get the details all figured out.
I say that West Virginia and Arizona stick together in this, regardless of what happens.
They're our travel partner. All right. We've done enough damage here. Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to do another one this week, right? Thursday-ish?
Oh, we are?
I think so.
Okay.
You around, Hoppy, or
I'm here.
Going to Botswana? You're here?
I'm here.
Okay, good. Three Guys Before the Game brought to us by the Burdette Camping Center, the only warranty forever RV dealer in all of West Virginia. Right now, all of their 2022 model fifth wheels are $3,000 under the invoice. $3,000 under invoice on their 2022 fifth wheels. Three Guys brought to us by Gomart. You can now sign up for the Mountaineer Man Trip and walk with the Mountaineers into the stadium for a game this coming season. To do it, go to the website, gomart.com. Get a card, sign up, get all that other stuff. Gomart.com. Three Guys brought to us by Comax Business Systems, keeping West Virginia's business data safe, secure, and efficient for 25 years. Visit them at comaxwv.com. They got your back when it comes to managing your IT and a whole lot more. Free estimates. They'll tell you what you need. And lastly, by Lou Wendell Marine Sales in St. Albans. They sell family fun. Visit them at LouWendellMarineSales.com, the premier pontoon boat dealer in the state of West Virginia. We be good. Special thanks to, we had two producers. This show was so big today, double producers. Bangin' Benjamin Lohman and Jumpin' Jack Carlson.
Both terrific.
Oh, jeez. They're absolutely terrific. Going to miss those guys when they have to go back to school.
Yep.
We're trying to talk both of them to stop going to school. Trying to get Ben to get a GED.
Just give up the remaining eligibility.
He's got 1 year left.
Senior year. That's
Hey, listen, we told him, we said, why do you go to school? What's the end game? Trying to get a job. Okay, fine. We'll give you a job right now. Start.
yeah.
Like 5 minutes ago. He's not budging on that.
No.
Kids, priorities, all askew.
We have to let him go.
Yeah.
Sorry, don't have a degree.
You'll have no
Imagine that. Jack would rather go back to college than hang with us three old guys here.
I know.
Gave Jack a job.
Stunner.
He wants to go back to college.
It's a stunner.
Who does that?
I'd
All right.
probably do that.
Honestly, I'd do that right now.
Yeah, I'd do it right now.
In a
I might do it anyway.
In a heartbeat. All right.
Count me in.
We're out. See y'all. Be good. Episode 476 over out.